Hi everyone, it's Rebecca, the Colorful Book Nester, and I wanted to step in and say, no, I haven't given up on my weekly check-ins. Instead, I deleted the weekly check-in.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
So yes, so I did a second part to the Alice picture, and I videotaped it and had it on my phone. And then I started the next project. And so when I went to go download some stuff onto my computer from my phone, I did the classic thing. And this is so frustrating. It's where I was trying to move a lot of files at one time instead of doing them one at a time, which is probably what I should have done. But also I wanted to delete a few things off the phone and clean it up. And what happened was I had created a new folder that I was trying to drop all my videos into and then bring it over to my computer. And it wasn't letting me do that. I couldn't get the files into the new file. So I went to go click, or thought I was just clicking on the new file. I was going to delete the new file because there's nothing in it, and it wasn't working the way I thought. And I was like, okay. But what I had failed to see was that all those other files were highlighted. So yes, bingo, here we go. I deleted them all. And even to the point that when it says, are you sure you want to do this? And because the way I was doing it, it didn't go into a recycling anywhere. I really thought there was a recycling trash can, but it asked me, and I remember, and I hit it and boom, it was gone. So I was really sad and frustrated because it was the second part to the Alice picture, which I will be sharing with you in a little while. But it also was what I've been coloring this week. And so that was the idea, was that that's what you should be seeing, and you didn't see it. So what I am going to show you is that, of course, I also picked up coloring a few other things, and it's going to be a little tour through what I'm doing for November, which, just like in my reading world, I'm doing the Knockout November. And so we're going to kind of go over that. But the first place we have to go is, what exactly am I trying to knock out? And in this case, I'm trying to knock out a bunch of works in progress for that, for whatever reason, I haven't touched in multiple years. So let's go over to my shelf, take a look through that, and then we'll have a little chat and look through some of the books. And I'll also intersperse some of the videos that I did take of me working on some of these projects, these work in progress. So I hope you enjoy that. Please stick by. Hopefully I'll get this a little bit better, but hey, you hit the delete and it's gone. So let's go over to the shelves and see how much work I have in progress that I need to try to do something about. It's called Knock It Out November. So I mentioned that this is Knock It Out November, and one of the things that caused me to want to do that was the number of work in progresses that I noticed when unpacking my coloring books. And if you see all those green tags, that is a page in a book that has been started but has not been completed. And I did that so I have a visual representation, so that when I'm looking for something to work on, I need to be looking at those first. And again, I may or may not actually do all of these, but I thought that I would take you along because of the whole losing all of the video from the last week and a half, 2 weeks of coloring, and also kind of show you work in progresses that I'm working on now, right now for November. So let me grab one of those. But yeah, you can see, look how many there is. So for Knock It Out November, I wanted to kind of go over some of the things that I'm working on. And also I wanted to go ahead and catch you up with what I did finish on that Alice book. So hold on one moment. Let me go get that. So I just previously told you about what happened with these videos, and I am so sorry that I can't share those videos of me doing these, but I did want to share with you the end picture, the final picture, because I was going to have that part 2 of my Alice and it just didn't work. So going back into our Rick St. Denis Folios Volume 1. And when we get done, I have to say, I'm actually really excited, and I cannot believe, I even videoed how I did the background and all that. So, hey, but it means I can do it in the future and show you guys and maybe not make as many mistakes as I did in this one. This one ended up I love the pop. I love the black in the background that I did. And then the whole diamond pattern really kind of made it pop as well. She's looking pretty rough. The cat came out much better than I thought it would. So overall, it's very apprehensive. And I think, that's one of the things as I'm going through and doing these, like, why are these things unfinished? Why are they, not completed? And I'm finding that once I get going, I kind of realize I kind of start self-talking and saying things like, it's because I probably didn't have an idea what to do for the background. It probably was, I was very nervous about this cat, because if you noticed in that first video, I think I mentioned the cat about 50,000 times. So really enjoyed this. I am so sad that this video is gone, just because the background is very interesting. It is not difficult to do, and it's one of those things, one of the reasons I like doing backgrounds is it can be also fairly meditative while you're doing it. So, but it made for an interesting look and made me be able to incorporate the colors all the way around. Now that I don't have a video of doing it, it'll give me an opportunity to try it again and maybe make some changes, like try to figure out how do I do every other color a little bit more instead of just the lines of the orange, because I ended up very orange heavy down here because of the cat and stuff, and very blue green up here kind of heavy because you didn't get a whole lot of the orange. So, how could I mix that up maybe in the future a little bit different? But very interesting and a lot of fun. I still have an unfinished picture here, but another work in progress that I started. But definitely feeling much better now that she's done. So I will leave this little green tag, and he goes back into my works in progress. So for the last week or so, I've been working on this in the last probably 3-4 days, but another piece that I was working on and trying to kind of show people as far as being a work in progress is this one. Let me bring that book out. So right now I'm working in this book, but what I was working on that I was videotaping and that also disappeared in the videotape was this, The Colorless Kingdom, which is a really nice book, lots of different females in it. Again, it's Amazon paper, so it's not the best paper in the world, but I have been working on this. Now, this one is particularly frustrating for me that I lost the video, because I decided in this picture when I started it that I really wanted to do an all black horse, and that's insanity. That is just plain insanity. Wow. Because though a horse is black, it also has those little nuances. So what you end up trying to do is figure out how to make the shadowing. You have to do a light black, but it isn't just as simply as a gray. And the layering, and because I started this with, I think I started this with Erotigens as well, and you're going to hear throughout this video that just is not a good coloring pencil in my hands. I don't seem to have the ability to do that, use those coloring pencils very effectively. And I started working on this again, and literally I have to tell you, the video is from basically just the little bit around his eyes was dark and then the rest. And I've lost all that because black is so difficult, because you want to still get all the muscles and have those showing out. But the intensity of black that I want on this horse, I just am not achieving with pencils, and this paper's not allowing me to do a good blend. It doesn't mean that I've given up completely on this, but since I lost the video of it, I don't know. I like the background, and I have to say this lovely lady right here is the spitting image of one of my cousin's daughters. I look at that just going, I really felt like she sat for this artist. So I don't know. I might continue working on this, but I'm giving myself the okay to go ahead and mark it as a work in progress. But I think I'm going to take a break again from it and because I have so many other ones that I want to kind of work on. And since I didn't have the video of how I did the black, it isn't one that, you know, is really great for me to have as a on my channel right now, because other than trying to do the main, which that might end up, I might end up showing this one and how I did, you know, do the main if I end up going back. But I'm going to give myself a break. I'm just disappointed that that video's gone. I'm disappointed at that. I'm just so challenged to try to get this dark enough. And I just think it's the paper and the different pencils. And I wasn't able to do the blending with my Tombows and markers the way that I do, because it just, again, it just wasn't working really well. But that was one that I worked on last week and lost the video for. So on to some happy news, better news anyway. So I moved into Fairy and Fantasy 2 Grayscale coloring book, Christine Karen. This is one that's been around tons. And that's the other thing with all these works in progress. I mean, these are old books. These are books that everybody has seen, everybody's had. And, you know, I actually bought this one quite late. This is my first Christine Karen book. I'm really trying to make myself go, if you really like the artist, and, you know, to do the book and then get the next book. Trying not to fall. And you know, I've seen a real reduction in number of coloring books available and what's coming out. You know, we have this basically the same artists that are still around, or the very, very popular ones, of course, because that's why they're still around. But I need to not be panicked that there might not be any coloring books, because again, if we look back at the shelf that I just showed you, yeah, it's kind of like reading. I don't think I have a long enough life for me to get all these done. So what am I working on here? Well, I am actually working on the front cover one, and that's one that I'm working on right now. I've been doing that for the past couple of days. Again, you know, trying to get back in the habit of coloring, not just sitting and mindlessly coloring for hours and then dropping it for weeks. I'm trying to get it back into a habit. But as you can tell, I am definitely inspired by the front cover. I do not do this very often, but I just found this very interesting. I wanted to see, it was mainly the colors on the face that really, really has drawn me in. And very different colors. And how do you blend? You know, how do you blend a green to a pink to a peach to a blue, and all the heavy shadowing? Now, I know that most of these are done with watercolors. I am doing strictly with some of my little markers for some really deep colors, as you'll see here in that process. But it's mainly pencils. Now, this was started with the Eroitigens as well. And I'm having a really hard time blending the Eroitigens and the Faber-Castell together. The Faber-Castell is doing a nice job of going over it, which I appreciate, and covering it, especially when I really relax using the Faber-Castells. So I think it's salvageable, but ultimately, I mean, it's not going to look as intense and beautiful as this, but these are the colors that I'm inspiring to. I'm trying to see if I can get kind of that really close to the same technique. Not technique, I shouldn't say, but mimic the technique with pencils. Because I love the thought of markers and Copic markers, and you see all that beautiful, amazing artwork that's like that. And I want to recreate it with pencil, but most of the time I think, you know, I also have to give myself some grace here and talk about, you know, the paper quality. So this is not your Amazon paper. It is very, very smooth feeling to me. And I think that's part of the problem that the Eroitigens had. They kind of skipped. In fact, let me show you the other picture, which I'm going to be inserting video I was able to find of me working on this page. This was another work in progress. It's moved to the top here just so that I don't lose it. This one I started last October. Right before life really got crazy. But I was using nothing but Eroitigens, and a lot of the background was done with Eroitigens. Her green cape, a lot of it was, and this part of her hair was. And I felt like I was fighting those pencils the whole time. I couldn't find how, they felt like they were slipping on this paper. They felt like they put like really, in fact, I'm going to bring you in because there's some marks here that I think really... You might notice in here, there's almost like scratch marks into
trying to get anything to lay down with the Aroidogens. So that was a huge experience I was having in this book. Now, this is not the only book that I've had that I'm using Aroidogens in. I have used them in other books, Johanna Basford books, some other places. And I'm just finding they just don't, they're not comfortable in my hand, and I feel that I end up, they're very slick feeling for me. So they did not make the trip across the sea. They were given away before that, and I'm just going to have to chalk it up. And I love the look of those. I totally went for the way they're packaged. They're Aroitogen, which is Tombow. Japanese, I believe, is the company Japanese? I believe it is. But everything about them and the colors themselves were beautiful. I like how illuminating they were. But actually the putting the pigment onto paper through that was just not something I was ready to start practicing with again and really commit to. I have plenty of pencil sets that I've not used enough, and one of them is the Faber-Castell and the Goldfibers that I even have intermixed, and they've been doing really well working on even this paper and over the Aroitogens, but it's still not quite what I'm used to, but I will be continuing on, but I'm very glad to have her finished. So that is where I'm at right now. I'm going to be finishing this one up. So one of my coloring for this weekend, I am coloring this lovely beauty and working to kind of mimic what I've seen here. I will continue coloring with her and going to the next one. Now, I'm not really sure what my next coloring is going to be. Let me go see if I can rummage and see if I can kind of narrow it down, because I think I will probably get her finished by this weekend, the end of this weekend. So let me go see what I might go to starting for next week. So next week, I might take myself back into my Muse coloring book. This book, again, not high quality paper, but very absorbing. And I have two pictures that I actually have three pictures in here, but we'll get to the third one. I'll explain that. Two pictures that I would like to finish up, just kind of complete them. They are so close to being completed. So the first one is one that I started a long time ago when I was following, I think it was Mona Gates. I think it was one of her tutorials, again, on using combinations for skin color that I've never used. And it isn't just simply of trying to do a darker skin color. It was things like she was teaching, that there's a lot of greens in some skin colors. There's these colors, that you would put underneath, and I just was blown away. Now, again, she's doing it on beautiful paper. She's an amazing artist. But I kind of was taking one of her tutorials and kind of using the idea of those colors, not necessarily the pencils she was using, and started working on her. And I love this page. Now, the other thing I'm doing in this page is using my stencils in the background just to kind of make a gradient and really add a lot of color. I felt like she was, she needed more color in and around her. So I've got a few, I need to finish these up, and then I want to come through the Gamsol and really kind of smooth out in between that kind of lace work with the stencil that I did. And then I need to work more on that and her ruffle, what I'm going to do there. So there's a lot of little things, but at the same time, I feel like I can get this one done, and I really liked it and enjoyed the process. The next one is one that and again, I got distracted. I was working on this back when we were in Vermont. So this one is at least 2.5, if not almost 3 years old. And I think I wanted to do it for trying that tutorial kind of suggestion with skin color. Definitely is why I wanted to do this picture. And then I also wanted to do this background. But this one, I still haven't quite figured out why I stopped, because I was having a really good time. Now, I think maybe the green I got kind of tired of the green. Now, most of this, it appears I've used Prismacolor on, so I will continue with Prismacolor. I did want to talk about this. One of the things that I've been very happy about when I find my books that have these work in progresses in them, I was very good in the past of writing down what I was doing, probably because maybe I videoed this one. I don't think I did, but who knows. But I wrote down all of the colors that I was using. Like, I'm not sure what the G is. Have no idea what G would be. But, you know, I can look it up later, right? Interesting. I have quite a few G's that I used along. But it talks about like the hat and shirt. So by having this, here, let me see if I can get this in the shot a little bit better. But by having this right here, this tells me what I used to do her shirt and what should end up being her hat, because I mean, these would match. So I'm not going to be totally lost on what did I do here. So these are great. They're just little Post-it notes, and having them in the book, it's definitely something I need to continue doing going forward, just in case I get to a point that I get interrupted and haven't finished a page for some reason. Now, this is something I started this year. I was doing it for a color along kind of thing. And I worked on it for a while, and the idea was it was for Nirma Coloring on Instagram's Pink Hair, Pink Lipstick Woman 2022 for October. And it started off really great. And I wanted to keep the palette very, very, very pink, obviously. And I got the pink hair and I got the pink lips and the kind of crazy looking eyebrows that are going on. And then I started trying to mess with the background, and I'm okay with the background. I'm not really thrilled with it, but I feel like I just threw this under the bus when I made the choice for the teacups. I didn't want to do white teacups with more pink on them. I wanted something that was going to actually really pop, and this just wasn't a good choice. So I have to be honest, I don't know if I'm ever going to finish this because I just lost all impetus to continue coloring this. This one color just... I don't know, I just really don't like it. And it's funny because you would think pink and turquoise, but I think the added of it being a purpley pink is where the problem is. I think I was rushing, and this was one of my first color alongs that I was trying to participate in a long time. And I think I just didn't let myself enjoy the process. I got wrapped up in finishing. But that's kind of the decisions, is like I would write over here, decided not to finish this, whatever reason, maybe write a little bit as to why, who knows, I could journal on this side about it, and then that's it, just let it go and know that it's going to be always unfinished. But these other two, like I said, I really like them, and I want to finish them. And I've got instructions, I've got my instructions over here, how to finish this one, and this one I know, and it's, again, it's just finishing up what I want to do for the background and get it really intense. And then just do a little bit down here, maybe mess with that flower a little bit more. These flowers, I could probably do some more deepening. So that might be something that I pick up after this, because those are two that I could do fairly quickly and feel accomplished. Otherwise, I'm not really sure. I have so many to choose from. So that's going to be it for today, basically telling you where I'm at and what I'll be coloring this weekend, and just a quick little colorful check-in of works in progress and my version of my coloring Knock It Out November. So let me know if you have found out that you have a lot of works in progress, maybe what you feel about with those work in progress. Do you have a systematic way to go back to them? And, do you have a way of knowing, kind of being able to pick up where you left off? Or do you just leave them, ignore them? They're no longer in your vision to be colored. And then, have you had the similar experiences like I just did, where one color just kind of ruined the whole picture? And it's really the first time I felt this way, of just walking away. Like I can almost see myself cutting that out of the book at this point. So I don't know, that might be overreaction. Who knows? All right, well, I'd love to know what you're working on this weekend and into next week, and we will hopefully see you next week again if I don't get delete happy. So, as I always say, keep coloring those pages. Bye for now.